A humpback whale has been freed after being entangled in a line with a large bundle of debris. The female, who was traveling with a male and a calf, spotted in the Hawaiian Islands, Humpback Whale National Park, the sanctuary just off the coast of Maui. Here's some footage you're looking at now. There was more than 500 feet of line tightly wrapped around the whale's head. Now, some trained professionals tracked her down and used some special gear to cut the line away and save her. That's an amazing story.
We have a very limited view on right whales. They're so rare, we don't understand them.
And Last of the Right Whales is a new documentary following the pursuits of a disparate group of people, a wildlife photographer, a marine biologist, a whale rescuer, crab fisher, all united behind exploring and exposing the near extinction of these gentle giants of the sea. And let's welcome now the director of Last of the Right Whales, Nadine Paquenza, to the show. Good to see you, Nadine.
Good morning, George. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you here. You know, clearly people are the problem, right? Surprise, surprise, but we're also the solution and the best shot that these whales have at survival. So tell us first about this group of humans in the film, the ones behind this crusade to save them.
Yeah, so I really wanted to include a lot of different perspectives because I think we are so disassociated from nature, and especially when you're talking about marine life, we really don't have access to that. So all of these people that you mentioned, you know, wildlife photographers, rescuers, fishermen, scientists, they all have very close access to the North Atlantic right whale. And when you're talking about a critically endangered animal, there are protection measures in place. So even getting permission to film these whales, it was necessary to work with these individuals, and being with them, you get to observe the whales through their eyes, you know, and they've been doing this work, some of them for decades.
Climate change, commercial fishing, pollution, ship traffic. There's so many things at play here. What is, Nadine, the biggest existential threat to these magnificent creatures, and why are they so vital to the circle of life in the ocean?
Well, believe it or not, they no longer die of natural causes. This is a great whale that's been on this earth for millions of years, but we don't give them the chance to live out their lives anymore. So the two greatest threats are vessel strikes, so collisions with boats and of any size, from a small, recreational boat, a charter fishing boat, up until something from a shipping line or a cruise line. And so that's one threat. The other one is entanglement in fishing gear. So 85% of these whales have actually been entangled at least once in their lives. And so those are the two biggest threats. It's our activities in the ocean. And there are things that we can do to prevent that. And that's really what the film is about. It's about speed restrictions, making sure that people who are operating boats are looking out for these whales. And secondly, trying to find a different way to fish, because fixed line fisheries with crab and lobster present a grave threat to these whales. And so now fishermen, the character in the film, Martin Noel, he's a crab fisherman from New Brunswick. He and other fishermen are testing new gear that it actually work without leaving that line in the water. It's a pop-up system, and they're having some success with that.
And there's also politics involved too, right? I mean, it's not necessarily entirely their territory, but Arctic sovereignty is a big issue right now politically on this planet, diminishing territory. You know, this country, Canada, still represents something like 40% of the world's, pristine ocean coastline. Can we keep that? And really the question is, do you think, Nadine, we can flatten the climate curve, the COVID curve, and the extinction curve all at the same time?
Wow, that's a big question. I'll do my best. But one of the problems, the reason we lost so many whales in 2017 and then again in 2019, we lost 10 more, is because of climate change. The whales are having to go further north to search for food because the distribution of their food is changing with the ocean currents. And so it's hard to predict where the whales are going to go. And so putting those protections in place is difficult when the oceans are changing so rapidly. So we really have to look at this in a holistic way. You know, fishing and shipping is one thing, but climate change is another problem that we have to consider when we're talking about the health of the ocean.
Last thing, Nadine, in terms of looking for hope on the horizon, is there precedent in terms of other large sea dwellers that have been on the brink that we've seen populations recover?
Well, this species itself has recovered twice before. So they were almost hunted out of existence. But in 1935, hunting this whale was banned. And so there were only about 100 left at that time, and they recovered from that, numbered as high as into the 500s. Now we see it declining again, but we've seen them bounce back before. They are incredibly resilient, as evidenced by one of the whales that we follow in the film over the course of 2.5 years, her and her calf. The mother did become entangled. Her first calf died, which is, illustrative of what's happening to the entire species.
Right.
But that mother had a second calf this season while still entangled. Yeah.
It's a powerful message, powerful cinema, beautifully done by the team behind the Oscar-winning documentary that we've all seen, My Octopus Teacher. Last of the Right Whales opens in Canadian theaters Sunday, February 20th, which happens to be World Whale Day. And there's in-person panels happening in 10 Canadian cities, including here in Toronto. Director Nadine Paquenza, thank you so much for making this beautiful piece of art and environmental hope. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Thank you, George.